Welcome to Programming 9 C Programming video tutorials. In this session, we are going to discuss about the control structures in C. First of all, what is a control structure? Let us see it. A control structure refers to the way in which the programmer specifies the order of executing the statement. Generally, we have seen that C program is a set of statements which are normally executed sequentially in the order in which they appear. This is generally happens when no option or no repetitions of certain calculations are necessary. However, in practice, we have a number of situations where we may have to change the order of execution of statements based on certain conditions. C has different types of control structures, that is selection statement and looping or iteration statement. Here the selection statements are considered if and switch. Looping or iteration statements considered for while and do while. Let us see them in the next video in the looping or iteration statements, but in this video we are going to discuss if and switch. What is if? If is generally two-way selection statement. Let us see it, how the operation is going on in the if. There are totally four types of if statements in C. That is simple if else, nested if else, and else if ladder. First, let us discuss simple if statement. If statement allows decision to be made by evaluating given expression as true or false. That is, check it out. Basic syntax is if some expression or some condition here, if this condition is true, the statement block will be executed. If the condition failed, it will directly jump out of this block. The different conditions. Some of the examples of conditions are A equals to 10, flag not equals to done, A less than B, some value something less than or equal to 20, lap greater than or equal to start, etc. etc. These are some different conditions. Those conditions are generally be found with these operators. Equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, etc. So you have to place these conditions in this expression. Let us see the simple flowchart for this. Speed is greater than 65. If the condition is true, the control jumps to print your speeding. If the condition is false, it's go sequentially as usual, but it completely omits the statement. That is either true or false. Simply, we are disrupting the normal sequential flow of a program. See this simple example. It describes the largest among the three numbers. I have taken three numbers A, B, C. Now I am reading those three values. And let us assume A value will be passed to LAR. It's an extra temporary variable called LAR. I am checking it out. If B greater than LAR, simply we are checking that B is greater than A. If this condition is true, then only this statement will be executed. If this condition is failed, automatically it will jump to this position. This is the thing you need to remember here. Initially, this is a mandatory statement because we haven't mentioned any specific conditions above this statement. But here we have used a condition. If this condition is true, this statement will be executed. If the condition is false, directly jump to the next statement. Similarly, C greater than LAR. If this condition also true, then this statement will be executed. If the condition is false, then directly jump to the statement. Totally, I have one statement after the if. You can also use the multiple statements, but if you're going to use multiple statements, you must have to include an open brace and a closed brace. That is mandatory. If you're using only one line of code after this if, no need of any braces. Next one is if else. In this if else, some expression should be evaluated based on this expression. If that is true, the statement 1 will be executed. If this is false, this statement will be executed. At a time, either statement 1 or statement 2 would be executed. But it is not possible to execute statement 1 and statement 2 parallelly or sequentially. Only one should be allowed at a time. This is the basic syntax. If this expression or condition is true, first block. If the condition is false, second block. That's why I'm calling this as a two-way decision statement. See another example here. Int m1, m2 and total. Enter the values of m1 and m2. I'm reading two values of m1 and m2. I'm just totaling this m1 and m2. I'm just checking the condition here. If you see it, m2 is greater than 28 and m1 plus m2 greater than or equals to 40. We already discussed about the AND. That is logical AND. So m2 greater than 28. If I entered something as m1 is 20 and assume m2 is 40. At these two situations, m2 is greater than 28. That means 40 greater than 28. The condition is true. So if this is true, directly jump to the second part. m1 plus m2, that is 40 and 20, greater than or equals to 40. So 60 greater than or equal to 40. So the student is passed. This statement will be executed and then directly jump out of this block. So the else part will completely omitted. If something I have taken m1 as 10 in the place of 20, I will just replace m1 as 10. This means 10 greater than 28. The condition is failed. So the first block will be omitted. Directly jumps to the else block. That is, student is failed. Nested if. Nested if statements are used when a series of decisions involved. Here the series of decisions means an if within if. If expression 1, if this condition is true, the first block will be executed. If the condition is false, it will jump to the second block of statements. If this condition is true, you are going to evaluate and again another condition within that condition. Within that conditional block. Here, after taking certain decision, you are going to take another decision based upon this decision. That is, if expression 1 is true, it will jump to the expression 2 and it evaluate the statement 1 if this expression 2 is true. If this expression 2 is false, directly jump to the else block. And you need to remember one thing here. If this expression is true, or if this expression is true, it will jump to the first block of statements. If this expression is false, it will directly jump to the false block. The only one thing you remember is there is no relationship between if and this else. This else is completely belongs to this if. This else is completely belongs to this if. This is very important thing you need to remember here. Please don't confuse this if with this else. Those two are completely different. See this thing. Expression 1 is true. If this expression 1 is true, it will evaluate this block. If this expression 1 is false, it will execute statement 3. Again, if this condition is true, it needs to go to the statement 2. Or if this expression is true, it will go to the statement 1. If this expression is false, it will go to the statement 2. Finally, all the statements will reach to the regular sequential flow of the execution. That is, if expression 1, some internal block here, this block contains, this is true block and this is the false block. This is a nested if example to print all the numbers in order. I have taken A as 5, B 10, C 15. Just assume A5, B 10, C 15. If this condition is true, that is A5, B 10 and C is 15. Totally 3 statements here. So among these 3 statements, let us check it out. A greater than B, 5 greater than 10. Condition is failed. Next, jump to this one. B greater than A. Condition is true here. We used a logical AND here so that the second one also should satisfy. B greater than C. No, condition failed. So go to the next line or next block. C greater than A. C means 15, A means 5. Condition true. and C greater than B, that is 15 greater than 10, the condition is true. Completely this statement is true. Next it will jump to the internal part, that is if A greater than B. A greater than B means 5 is greater than 10. No, the condition failed here. So it will jump to the else block. So this block will be executed now. In the next and last one is else if ladder. It is used whenever we need more than 2 decisions. And of course, we might face some of the situations that we need to select something from the multiple conditions. If some condition, if it is true, the statement will be executed. If the condition is false, so else if again condition statement, else if again condition and statement, etc. This flow will continue forever until he is satisfied. See, this is a simple example. Score is greater than or equals to 90. If this condition is true, grade A will be executed. If this condition is false, go to else block. So else again we can check in the condition here. Score is greater than or equals to 80. Print grade B. If the condition failed, again go to else block. Condition is true, grade C. Again, if condition false, go to else block. And finally it prints either F or D. So among all these statements, every student might have a single grade, either A, B, C, D or F, etc. But here we need to select only one grade for every student, so that we need to check all these conditions. We can finally conclude with a single grade for a student. The same thing can be achieved using a switch. In most programming languages, uses another selection concept known as multi-way selection. Whenever we have multiple choices other than 1 or 2, so we will use this switch statement. What is switch and how we use something in this? First, in the switch, we need to specify a condition. On that condition, we have to take a value. So based upon that value, the appropriate case will be executed. For example, in the switch, if we found A, so case A will go into the action. Similarly, case A, use some case action and break. Similarly, case B, use some case B action, break, etc. Among all these cases, we should have to use one at a time. If all these cases fail, it will take the default action. See this, a switch expression, case constant 1, constant 2, constant n, etc. and some of the statement blocks here. Switch off expression. So this expression yields a result either constant 1, constant 2, constant n. If this expression results either of these constants, the appropriate statement block will be executed. That is, if the expression is constant 1, directly jump to the case constant 1. If this expression is constant n, directly jumps to the constant n. And after reaching to this constant, it will execute appropriate statements for that case. If none of the constants satisfied in this expression position, then it will directly jump to the default block. See a simple example. Main int I am reading something here. For I equals to 0, I less than 6, I plus plus. Totally, this for loop will repeat it 6 times. Don't worry about the for loop, we will discuss it in the next video. Switch off I. Here I means assume it as a 0. So case 0 will go into the flow. That is printf I is 0. And immediately we need to place a break. This is mandatory in the switch case, because we have to terminate that case 0. After using the break, the remaining all statements will be omitted. Again, I plus plus, the loop will be repeated again. So I value becomes 1 and switch off 1. So directly jumps to case 1. If case 2 here, if I is 2, go to case 2. If I is 3, go to case 3. If I is something which is not in these cases, it will select the default action. That is, I is greater than 3. And one more thing is, it is also possible to include a switch within switch. That is, switch something, some condition here, and if this condition is case 1, again we can include another switch within this case. That is, a switch within switch is also valid. That is, nested switch is also possible. Sometimes it is definitely needed for us. After taking a certain decision, after going to a certain case, we have to have multiple choices again. So we need to select multiple choices. We need to select one choice among those multiple choices. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like us at facebook.com/programming9.